Okay, it's Max Whitby here from Touch Press, and I'm going to show you our new app, which is called The Wasteland. When you launch The Wasteland, you go straight to the main menu, and the first and most important thing is the poem itself. So the full published text of The Wasteland, and if I go to it, there we can see the famous first line, "April is the cruelest month." Now I can read through the poem by moving through, but I can also have the poem read to me. So let's touch the icon down the bottom there, and we've got a bunch of different people, one of whom is Alec Guinness.
April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. Winter kept us warm, covering earth in forgetful snow, feeding a little life with dried tubers.
And I can actually switch to a different reading. Let's try T.S. Eliot himself in 1947.
Coming over the Starnberger See with a shower of rain. We stopped in the colonnade and went on in sunlight into the Hofgarten and drank coffee and talked for an hour.
Now we also have a filmed performance of the poem by Fiona Shaw.
The shower of rain. We stopped in the colonnade and went on in sunlight into the Hofgarten and drank coffee and talked for an hour. Bin gar keine Russischstam, auszuteuen, echt Deutsch. And when we were children, staying at the Archduke's, my cousin's, he took us out in a sleigh and I was frightened. He said, "Marie! Marie! Hold on tight!" And down we went.
Now if I touch the video, I can pause and I can scroll through the text, and wherever I touch, Fiona Shaw will pick up.
Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyante, had a bad cold, nevertheless is known to be the wisest woman in Europe with a wicked pack of cards.
So I can also here select the different sections of the poem and jump to a different section. This is a beautiful section.
Phlebas the Phoenician, a fortnight dead, forgot the cry of gulls and the deep sea swell and the profit and loss. A current under sea picked his bones in whispers as he rose and fell. He passed the stages of his age and youth, entering the whirlpool.
So let's now see if we can find out a bit more about that section of the poem. To do that, I shall go back to poem, and now I just see the text on its own. But if I turn the iPad on its side, you can see on the left-hand side these notes slide in. And so if I touch Phoebus the Phoenician, I get some explanatory text explaining me the reference where that came from, where in literature. If I choose a current under the sea picked his bones in whispers, the notes tell me that these lines take up the image of sea change in Ariel's song in Shakespeare's The Tempest. And I can also choose the note, and as I choose the note, the appropriate section of the poem itself is highlighted. Now, something else I can do is go to perspectives. That's this section here, and if I do that, I have here almost 40 interviews with interesting people talking about the poem. And so, for example, here is Seamus Heaney talking about that section here, Death by Water.
This is the Death by Water section of The Wasteland. A part that, when I read it first, I read it under the eye of the instructor, as it were, who says, link this Death by Water to the drowned man earlier in the poem and the deck of cards and so on. So I read it, as I say, obediently, but without sufficiently attending to the strangeness of the thing itself.
So I can pause at any time, and we also have the person who currently has T.S. Eliot's job at Faber, Paul Keegan, who's the poetry editor there, and here he talks about Ezra Pound.
it used to be said that the collage aspect of the poem, or the apparently collage, in that sense, it's if you like, it's modernist coating, that this was affected by Pound. So that what Pound did was, in a sense, if you think of it as a film, he simply removed a great deal of the footage. And that
now, as Paul Keegan was talking, you probably saw on the right here that an image has come up, and if we go to that image, we can see that we've got all of the original manuscript for The Wasteland with Ezra Pound's notes, and so all those crossings out and deletions and so on show the enormous influence that Pound had. And in fact, I can go to the poem itself. I need to do this in portrait, and down here, if I choose this tool here, we go to the original handwritten Phoebus the Phoenician, A Fortnight Dead. And if I move left, I go to the poem. If I move back, I can see the original transcript. I can also go to different parts of the transcript. Here, extensive annotations by Pound, and also by T.S. Eliot's first wife, Vivian. And then a few other things. We have a gallery of images that relate to The Wasteland. Here is Vivian Eliot, Eliot's first wife, who wrote parts of the poem. And then we also have the ability to search and to navigate around the poem. So if we go to this icon here, you get an overview of the poem showing its different shapes, and as I move through, I can scroll through the poem, and if I move through the poem, you can see I move through on the navigator. And then I can also search, and I'm going to search here for my favourite part of the poem. And let's get Fiona Shaw to read it for us.
When Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, I didn't mince my words, I said to her myself, hurry up please, it's time. Now Albert's coming back, you make yourself a bit smart. He wanted to know what you'd done with that money he gave you to get yourself some teeth. He did, I was there. You have him all out, Lil, and get a nice set, he said. I swear I can't bear to look at you. And no more can't I said. And think of poor Albert. He's been in the army 4 years. He wants a good time. And if you don't give it him, there's others will, I said. Oh, is there? She said. Well, something of that, I said. Then I'll know the thanks, he said, and give me a straight look. Hurry up, please, it's time. If you don't like it, you can get on with it, I said. Others can pick and choose if you can't. But if Albert makes off, it won't be for lack of telling. You ought to be ashamed, I said, to look so antique. And you're only 31. I can't help it, she said, pulling a long face. It's them pills I took to bring it off, she said. She said 5 already. Nearly died of young George. The chemist said I'll be all right, but I've never been the same. Well, you are a proper fool, I said. Well, if Albert won't leave you alone, I said, there it is, I said. What you get married for if you don't want children? Hurry up, please, it's time. Well, that Sunday, Albert was home. They had a hot gammon. They asked me into dinner to get the beauty of it all. Hurry up, please, it's time. Hurry up, please, it's time. Good night, Bill. Good night, Lou. Good night, May. Good night. Good night, Tatar. Good night. Good night. Good night, ladies. Good night. Sweet ladies. Good night. Good night.